one of a kind. I swear, um, in past lives, he must have been human at one point because he's a living legend.
Petey is the neighborhood dog, the town dog that goes everywhere, comes over our house, calls our dog out to play, plays with all the dogs, comes to visit all the neighbors, young, old, sick, or well. He's there to play with you anytime.
Petey always recognizes me and comes back to say hello. You know, he's got a human personality for sure.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Yeah, he is a good dog. We enjoy knowing him actually, and that's what it is. You know, we go all over the place and we see him, and he always acknowledges the fact that we're friends.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Monahan, and we are in Sandgate, Vermont, and I am Petey's mom.
And I'm Phil Monahan, and I'm Petey's dad. We had wanted a dog for a long time, but our daughter Claire had bad allergies as a child, and her pediatrician suggested that we not have any pets. When she was starting to grow out of those allergies, on one visit, the doctor said, "You guys can get a dog now if you want." Both of my kids insisted that we get a rescue dog rather than buy a dog from a pet store or a breeder. And so after a few weeks of looking, suddenly there was this little, what looked like a wire-haired dog available at the animal shelter across the border in Cosayuna, New York. Is that Petey?
That's Petey.
The driveway.
Hey, buddy. Come on, love. Come here, babe. Okay.
Hey,
Here,
Petey,
Pete.
come here. Right
Come
here.
up.
Pick him up.
He likes to be.
I know, but pick him up. Put him right here.
Okay.
Oh, he's wet.
Yeah, well, there's a lake at the bottom.
Sit.
Okay.
And is he in the shot?
Yep.
So anyway, on the Pet Finder website, this little dog, his name on the website was Aiden, looked like he might be the right dog for us. So Mary Beth was at work, and I picked up the kids, and we drove out there, and we met him at this really amazing ramshackle facility way out in the woods in upstate New York. And that very day, we made the decision, and the next day we went and we picked him up, and we brought him home.
I wasn't a dog owner growing up because my brother had life-threatening asthma, and I've always felt kind of insecure about owning a dog, and was like, all I can bring to the table is like a lot of love and commitment and, you know, equal excitement about taking hikes.
When we first brought Petey home, I put a run out in the back. I went out and bought all the hardware and strung it between two trees and tied him up to it, and he just sat there and looked forlorn the whole time. He didn't run back and forth. He didn't have any fun. He just sat there like, why are you doing this to me?
Other times it might be a thing where I'm taking him for a long walk up our road and he hears a family who has a house and they're visiting. And they have 2 kids and they love him and he just knows it's a great reception. So he'd cruise up the driveway and hang out, and I'd be calling for him and calling, and you know, I'd continue walking up, and by the time I walked back, he would join me. But I'd give him like, you know, I don't know, half hour there. And then the neighbors that would be coming down that lived there would say, oh, you know, it was so great to see Petey.
So I think the key point was that we realized he wasn't running away. He wasn't taking off. You know, some dogs, they run off and they just keep going and they're found 5 miles away. He was pretty intentional. He was like, I'm going to go do my rounds, or I'm going to visit this family or that family.
Or that first year when whatever, he didn't come right back. I mean,
Oh yeah, we'd go out in the cars looking
yeah,
for him.
I would be beside myself. And with the kids, I was always like, do not just open the door, take them out, because you do not want that on your head, if anything happens to him. So we had a lot of sorting that out. And then gradually over time, I could work in the yard and he would just sit there and stay with me the whole day. And then maybe he might hear some people in the Green River, or somebody could be renting the house at the bottom of the hill, and he would disappear from me, and I'd be like, Petey, and then he'd come back and he'd sit. So it was sort of gradually through, just him coming back safely, us getting, we have him, here's a text, Petey's here, and here's a cute picture of him with all the dogs. That's how it started.
By this time, everyone within a 2-mile radius who lives here knows who he is.
I know Peter is almost a good dog. No, you go to Asher's to hang out with Petey.
I mean, when you watch him, when you walk with him and you go out in the woods or whatever, you just see how much joy he takes from running around and sniffing stuff and chasing rodents. He doesn't want to be in the house all day. That's not who he is as a dog. So the trade-off for me is, yes, he would be safer if we kept him in the house and only walked him when one of us was with him. But I just think it would be a huge diminishing of his quality of life. He obviously just loves this lifestyle.
Having to stop my car and wait for him to finish dragging the hindquarters of a deer across the road. And you can always count on Petey to do that job.
Really, the only time he's been injured is when he was attacked by the 2 German Shepherds up the hill. He required, 60-something stitches? Both thighs, one of them bit straight down over his back hips, so both thighs were really badly beat up.
And in some ways, to be honest, that was so traumatic. There was a period where the dogs would come, and it was kind of uncanny. The same time, it was like a Sunday morning around 8:30 when he and I were getting ready for the walk, and the dogs basically went after him right on the front step. And I had to kind of kick them off and then grabbed him and threw him in the house. There was a period where if they would come at Sunday morning around the same time sniffing around, and his whole body would just shake. I was wigged out for a really long, I was weepy. I mean, I couldn't even, it was not good. So I would say, yeah, I probably was more reluctant to even go out when I did go out, because they were so mad and they kind of blamed us that it was Petey's fault for being in the road. I used to put him on a leash, do you remember? Like the first few months. And it made our neighbors so sad. Matt was like, this is breaking my heart to see your dog on a leash. And I was like, I know, we're working on it. And I kind of wondered if there would be long-term effects, or if he would have reservations or just like general trepidation about going back out again. And I do feel like he wasn't quite himself for a while. So in some ways, his like out and about town makes me like kind of all the more happy after that really super scary episode. He finds people. He needs to be with people. He needs to kind of connect with them. He's like the mayor of Sandgate.
We got to know Petey after moving to Sandgate several years ago, about 3 years ago. And Petey just was one of the first people to come over and visit. But I didn't realize that he had kind of the run of all Sandgate. And so it's pretty cool to realize that like that dog could just show up at any time. Whenever he does, the kids run outside and play with him. I don't see him often enough.
He was simply finding places where he would be adored. He's a big fan of being adored.
And even if the other day I took him for a really long walk, and I usually think if I take him for a walk and I can tire him out, that day I think he came to your house, I came back down, and I thought he's got to be exhausted. And he looked at me and he went, pew.
Good night, gentlemen. For many years, we had a white border collie named Nell, who was an amazing mountain dog. She had fur like a polar bear. She loved snow camping. She ended the Vermont Long Trail twice, 280 miles each time. And it was just a great hiking partner and running partner and mountain partner. And Nellie and I used to love to run up in the mountains up a dirt road about 1.5 miles from our house called Southeast Corners Road. And one day, as we were running, I turned around and I noticed a little gray dog had decided to follow us. And we kept going up higher and higher and deep into the woods. And he stayed with us and kind of became one of our running partners. And we'd run back down the mountain, back to the house, and he'd follow us all the way to our cabin. Have to drive him home, so I didn't know where he lived, but I just drop him off at an intersection in the road, and next time we go running, he'd pop out of the woods again and join us. Almost 3 years ago, Nellie passed away, and I didn't have a dog in the mountains anymore, but when I'd go up that road, this little gray dog, Petey, would just pop out again, and he was my running partner and my mountain partner for a good while. And then after a while, he would just start showing up at our house all by himself, hiking 1.5 miles through the woods and along the roads to get here and just to hang out and keep us company. And was a great friend when we didn't have a dog. And then about a year ago, we got Jacko here. And Jacko and Petey have now become great friends too. And Petey comes to visit us a couple of times a week.
I think he's definitely right on Sandgate Road, because I have talked to the other neighbors who've literally like sometimes been like, Petey, go home. Like they don't like it, so sometimes they'll grab him in the car, and I have to say, I know it sounds crazy, but he's going to his other family, you know, and he knows what he's doing. He's been doing it a lot. Yeah. But then she said, you know what? We just started just waving to him because we think he knows what he's doing. I was like, okay. I think some people might think we're reckless to let him have his free-range life. But then I feel like there's other neighbors who are like, defend us. He knows what he's doing. He's fine. Like, kind of back off. So, yeah, it's... I can't imagine, honestly, any other lifestyle for Mr. Petey.
Yeah, so about a month ago, we did get a text from Aaron that that Roy had seen Petey have what he described as a close call. But apparently someone on Sandgate Road, he must have been close to the road or in the road. And Roy, who, you know, has known Petey does this for as long as Petey's been doing it, it was enough to rattle him a little bit. So clearly it rattled us. And that's when we thought maybe it's time. Because we've definitely seen changes in his behavior as he becomes more middle-aged. And it could be he's just getting a little dotty. He may just not be as acute or paying as much attention or whatever. And maybe his being on Sandgate Road isn't such a smart thing.
I feel more at ease if I know he's not on that, and I've like... We watch him try to sneak to your house if we let him out. So now we have a whole new system where if we let him out, one of us is at this back door, the other one is here, and we're doing the 360 around the house because he's like, you know, and try to make a break for it.
Hello? Oh, hi, Beth. He's down there again? All right. I just got to finish up here. I'll be down in about 10 minutes to pick him up, okay? Thank you.
Hey, buddy.
I met him and I fell in love instantly. Like, oh, Petey is one of a kind. There's only one Petey in this world. And I hope that people can really feel how I feel about this dog. He's awesome. He's one of a kind. He's the best.